How about now? Can you hear me now? Still you can't hear me. You can. Okay. So I was trying this new audio thing I got. I guess I haven't figured it out properly yet. But okay. Sorry. Wasted 2 minutes of everybody's time. Whoops. Okay. Well, back now. Here we are. Hey Mikhail, thank you for the super chat once again. You are too kind. Okay, guys, so let's get cracking with the cooking. Yeah, this is a live cook along video. We are making a curry. So, I don't know how many of you are actually going to be cooking along with me. If you are cooking along with me, let me know. Sorry, I'm just turning off these audio devices now because they've. Alright, so I'd given a whole bunch of options for the ingredients that you can use, but let me start by going over what I'm using today. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm starting with the protein. Now I've got boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I've cut up into small cubes. The reason I've done this is because when you cut them up smaller, they're easier to eat, they cook quicker as well, and it's just generally nice for curry. Of course, you can also use chicken breast cut up into small pieces. You can use fish, you can use prawns. I would say fish you'd want to use some kind of cut fish, like either with bone or without bone, up to you. You could also use chicken legs and thighs. You can use chicken with skin, but it generally gets soggy. That's why most Indian recipes also don't have skin, chicken with skin on. You can use pork and beef as well, but cooking times will vary depending on the cut. So ideally, if you have a leaner cut, it will be easier to cook, faster to cook. Mutton is also usable, but I would say you want to first pressure cook the mutton with just some water, so you'll basically make the mutton tender that way. um, Prawns could also be used. Yeah, the seafood, if you're going to use, you throw it in right at the end, and I'll sort of guide you along the way as well. So that's the protein I've chosen. This is about 450 grams. That's the size of the average chicken packet in India. I don't know how many pounds that is. If anyone can do the conversion and share it, go right ahead. So chicken thighs, skinless, boneless, cut into cubes. That's what I'm using. Okay, now I've got red onions. In India we don't get big white onions, so red onion is what we use. I've used two small ones here. I've got about 250 grams of tomatoes. Now I know I said 100 grams or 150 grams. The thing is, I want to finish these up because things go bad in my house, so I'm going to throw in all the tomatoes and I'll have a slightly more tomato-y curry. Obviously, if you're on keto, you want to go on the lower end of the spectrum, so like 100 grams of onion versus 100 grams of tomato. But you can vary the ratios, it's not really a big deal. Just, the flavor will change slightly. I've got some heavy cream here. This is like 100 ml is left. I need to finish this up, so I'll put it at the end of the curry. Ginger and garlic paste, I'll use about a teaspoon. Again, fresh ginger, fresh garlic, about 10 grams of each will be fine. And I've got a whole bunch of dill. Now, normally I would use coriander and use coriander at the end of the recipe just to finish it off. But I'm going to use dill because I bought this to make some smoked salmon bagels. And this stuff goes bad and I have no use for it. So I'm actually going to use the entire thing here, this entire bunch, and cook it with the curry, because we actually eat dill like a vegetable in India. I don't know about where you live. Yes, so the vegetable vendor sold me this much dill. I use like this much in my salmon recipe. So this dill, we cook it with potatoes and we make like a potato preparation. and it's eaten with, like, roti or rice or dal, and it's part of the meal. So I'm actually going to put all this dill in my chicken curry. Now if you have a lot of dill that you have no use for or something like that, then you can do the same thing, but otherwise save your coriander or your well, coriander, basically that's what we use. um, no parsley in Indian cooking, though I won't be around to check if you're using parsley or not. So if you have parsley and you use it, I can't tell. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And now here is my spice box. So every Indian house has this spice box. Now in this we've got some whole spices which I'm not using today because I know a lot of you may not have whole spices lying around your house. But I've got some turmeric powder, some coriander powder, some cumin powder, some red chili powder, and some garam masala. Now if you have all these, great. If you're missing one of them, no problem. If you have curry powder and you have none of these, that's also okay. The idea here is to sort of teach you the technique and the style more than like, oh, this is the exact recipe. So shall we get on to business, ladies and gentlemen? Let's start with the... Okay, now I don't know how I'm going to do this, but let's give this a go, guys. Obviously, it's not going to be possible for me to answer questions while I am cooking, but let's see if we can give you a closer look at the cutting board now. Okay, I think that's okay. Yeah, so I'm going to get cutting now. Let's start with the onions. So, well, start with this one. So I like to just slice that off like that. I throw away that, and this, yeah, you can throw them or freeze them and use them for stocks later. Now I cut it down the center. Now a lot of people like to finely dice the onions. What I like to do, this is my favorite way now to use onions. Now you cut it like this normally, these are the half moons, but I like to cut it like this. So you get what I call saute style mushrooms. Onions. See? Now this obviously is going to be a rustic chicken curry. So it's all about these onions and the flavor that they bring. Yeah, so now you can kind of see that's what I call the saute style. You will have seen this in all my videos. So gonna do the next one. Now one onion is actually enough. You don't actually need two. I don't know why I took 2 onions out. Like this is generally enough. Especially if you're doing keto, you want to restrict the onions, this is enough. But since I've already cut this, let's make it a nice onion heavy curry. So take this out. So the same here. Let's cut that out. Cut this top bit. Yeah, see, because you got all this weird stuff here that you don't want to eat. So, Anyway, down the center. Turn it this way. And now my knife skills are not the best. So if I look fairly amateur, then I'm actually cutting better today because I don't have the camera in my way. So that's 1.5 of my small red onions. And here's the... So as you can see, once I'm done halfway through, I actually flip it like this and then continue. And always try and not do it this, like this, try and do it like this so that when you're cutting, you don't cut your fingers off. Okay, so that's the onion. What else do I have to cut? The next thing that will go in is the tomatoes. So tomatoes, I'm just going to, just kind of, you can actually, let's try using them like this today. Yeah, let's just do quarters, make life easier. And like I said, I have stuff in my fridge that needs to be used up. That's why I'm using all these tomatoes. Otherwise, normally I don't use so many tomatoes. I would use about 100 grams of tomatoes. So I'd use like one of these tomatoes. Yeah, so anyway, use them before they go off or something. Okay, now finally, we're just going to take the dill. Okay, I'm just going to, again, rough chop. And you know what? I'll keep this much for garnishing at the end or for something else in the week, but that's enough dill for this recipe. So, there you go. I think we are prepped and ready. Okay, I'm done with the cutting. Are any of you actually cooking along with me right now? Because if that's the case, I will definitely hang on. Right. So yeah. Right. So are any of you cooking along with me? Also, my wife was calling, who's not at home right now. So I should actually tell her that. Good morning, greetings everybody. Welcome to the live stream. We're doing a live cook along, and yeah, I basically just finished chopping the tomato, the onion, the vegetables. I just need to tell my wife I'm in the middle of a live stream and she should not call. Right. Okay. So, um, right. So if anyone is doing their mise en place, there you can see the onions, tomato, and the dill that I've chopped. Okay, so I don't think anyone is cooking with me, so I'm just gonna get right into the process now. So we are at the stove here, and in a second I'm gonna take you to the pan. That's where all the action is, right? The pan, the frying pan. So I've got this kind of a dish. Now in India we call this a kadai. It looks similar to a wok, but unlike a wok, it's got two handles. This is a non-stick one. It's just easy to clean up and very good. There's nothing wrong with non-stick. Non-stick is typically safe to use. Yes, there is dill used in certain curries, but I don't know if specifically which curry. I'm kind of making this up as I go along. So you can also make up your own curry as you go along. And for cooking, I'm going to be using some ghee. So ghee is nothing but clarified butter, and this gives a sort of distinct flavor to the curries. At least for an Indian person, ghee is quite traditional. Also coconut oil, of course, mustard oil, depending, and each of them can subtly change the flavor of the curry. So I'm gonna go with ghee for now. Of course, if I had duck fat or goose fat or bacon fat or beef lard, I'd probably be using that, because you know me, I love using that in my cooking. So are you guys ready to get cooking? I assume I don't think anyone is actually cooking along with me. So here the protein that I'm using is chicken. For those who are joining late, I'm using boneless, skinless chicken thighs cut into small pieces. But you can make this curry with anything. Fish, fillet fish, bone fish, prawns, calamari, lobster, crab, pork, beef, mutton. I will again give you instructions as we go along. So here's the thing. If you are using a slow cooking cut of meat, say pork shoulder, stewing beef, what else? Mutton, lamb, you can boil or pressure cook the meat with salt and water separately till it's reasonably tender, and then use it in the cooking. So let's get cracking now. Yeah, and with seafood, it's all going to go in right at the end, because seafood will overcook if you cook it as long as you cook a curry. So let me take you now to the pan. All right, I think you have a good look at the pan, and of course, I will be using a spoon to stir. So let me put the stove on now. And now I'm putting in ghee. So this is about a tablespoon of ghee. Yeah, obviously if you are on keto, you can use, I guess, more ghee to sort of compensate. By the way, is it burning out because of the sun? I can't tell. Is the picture burning out because of the sun? Then I will change your angle if that is the case. Does the picture look okay? I think it looks okay. Fine. Alright, so the ghee is heating up, and honestly you don't need to wait for it to get hot. We're going to add the onions in straight away. And again, like I said, if you are doing keto, you can control the amount of onion you use. This curry will make about 4 servings. So when you have 4 servings of curry, I think you can do 100 grams of onion if you are on keto. And now we just want to fry and really brown these onions. Let's get a lot of flavor out of these onions as much as possible. Yeah, so you just, I mean, this is going to take time now, guys. So we're just going to let these onions cook on a sort of medium heat. Yeah. So the thing with curry is it's not really a complicated dish as much as it's a dish that you need to have a little patience with. Now you can use, you can not take the onions very dark and use them, but then I think you lose a lot of flavor. And again, it depends on the curry. Certain curries, the onions don't need to be browned, but we are looking for a deep, dark, rich tomato sort of curry, So you just, with the onions also, you don't want to like not stir them because you don't want them to burn, especially if you've cut some of them thinner than the others. Please tell me the picture looks good, guys, because I can't see I need to get like a whole special setup for like live cooking. So yeah, we can have a little chat while the onions cook. Obviously, if you are cooking along with me, you probably need to keep an eye on your onions, as I will. The problem is you can see the sun is straight on the stove. I actually have these little blinds up here so that I can shoot. So this is the kitchen I actually shoot in. So you can see that's where we shoot, and then I do my voiceover around here, and then I wash dishes over here, and then that's my oven over there, and that's my coffee machine. So yeah, we are waiting for the onions to cook. So just let them brown. I feel like now is not a bad time for me to have a second cup of coffee. What do you guys think? Can you recap? I just joined. Alright, so we are making a chicken curry, and I'm using boneless chicken, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. This is going to be our protein. I've got some onions frying in ghee on a medium heat that I want to brown. I've got chopped tomatoes, a whole bunch of chopped dill. Now I've chopped the dill and I'm using so much because I have it and I need to finish it. But if you've got coriander or something, just chop it and keep it. You're going to use it right at the end. Alternatively, for those who actually like the idea of having a greenish curry because of the dill, spinach is an alternative, or methi, fresh methi is normally used, or even mustard greens. So they make something called like a saag curry, like saag. So that is generally cooked greens. So this is technically gonna kind of be like a bit saag like, but a very rustic saag. Better stir the onions. See, they're starting to brown already. Now normally if you add whole spices, this is kind of, you normally fry them along with the onions. So cardamom, cloves, bay leaves, all these different spices, mustard seeds, all these are the different whole spices you can use. And again, it varies from curry to curry, region to region. You don't put in your garlic now because the garlic will brown and burn faster than the onions. Onions, we really want to slowly sort of develop that flavor and get it really nice and dark and brown, you know. So yeah. All right. Do you guys drink coffee? Because I'm going to drink a coffee now. I'd offer you some. So that's my coffee machine. I can flip the camera and show it to you. It's the DeLonghi cappuccino machine. So the beans go up here. And yeah, basically that's my mug. The cereal eater mug. That's my face on it. Anyway, back to onions. Remember, you don't want these to burn. You can see the sun is coming into my pan now. That's the problem with this kitchen, it's the lighting. But yeah, now fry those onions. I got this little knife rack from IKEA, which is pretty cool. I don't know if you can see. Actually, Dipti got this. Dipti is the one who buys all these super useful things from IKEA. Yes, I am. Well, so this is a gift from my wife to me. Let's put my cup there. Now I use stevia in my coffee, so I'm going to try and do this with one hand. So this is not the brand though. I just use this box because it has the spoon in it. Hold on. Whoa! Nobody needed to see that. Right. Let's open the stevia now. Stir the onions so they don't burn. Remember, keep stirring the onions. I said Dipti, Deepti. Dipti, that's the name of my wife. Deepti. So it comes with this little micro spoon. So I get about 3/4 of the spoon and it goes into my coffee cup. I'm going to turn the heat down on the onions so they don't burn while I'm talking to you guys. And of course, if you're cooking along with me, keep stirring those onions. Oh, they're looking nice already. We'll get to them very shortly. All right, let's do the coffee. So I'm going to have one long coffee. Yeah, so that's my setting. Standard taste, one long coffee. So it's grinding the beans here and then we'll make the coffee. There you go. That's my coffee. Here are my onions. You can see they're getting quite brown now. Yeah? Look at that. But we want to make them still browner. More brown. Those onions nice and brown. You really bring out the flavor. Bring out that flavor, my friends. Alright, there's my coffee. There you go. Black coffee with stevia. Now back to the onions, or maybe back to me. There we go. Okay, so the onions are browning. I need to add a little bit of water to my coffee. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, what do we do next now? Let's get back to the pan. I need to find a better way to sort this filming situation out. Alright, let's just give you guys the look. Yeah, there you go. You can see the onions now. Okay. So I think these are fairly brown now. Yeah, you can see that it's quite brown. So to this now, I'm going to add the ginger garlic paste. That's this one. Yeah, it's about a teaspoon and then some maybe. Oops, that goes back in my fridge. Now you give this a stir. Yeah, let that fry off. So again, you can use fresh ginger, fresh garlic, no problem, all good. Now, I don't know if you're using tomato puree or fresh tomatoes like me. I'm just going to throw in all the tomatoes now. And I'm also going to throw in my dill. And just let that start to cook. Now is the time to season this. So I'm going to go with some salt. Be generous with the salt, don't be afraid of salt. Now let's do the spices next. So I've got some turmeric, that's the first spice I'm going to use. About half a teaspoon maybe. Then we've got some cumin powder. Generous with the cumin powder, I like this flavor of cumin. And some coriander powder as well. Again, generous with the coriander powder. And some red chili powder. I'm using the Kashmiri variety, which is not very spicy. So a little bit of that goes in. And now we mix. Basically just getting everything to get to know each other. I hope you can see the stuff that's going on in the pan. Yep, you can. Excellent. Now, I was lazy, so I didn't chop the tomatoes. So it's going to take a little longer to cook, but that's okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting the spices in there, getting the spices to toast and fry a little bit. There's plenty of ghee. I mean, I didn't use that much, but there was enough ghee in this to kind of make that work. So you can see everything is like kind of stained with those spices, so to speak. You're probably wondering why I'm not putting the chicken in. Well, the chicken is not going to take very long to cook and we don't want to overcook it. So I'm now going to add some water to this. Yeah, that should be enough, I think. A lot of my cooking is really just eyeballing. I'd say that was about 300 to 400 ml of water. Now what we need to do is cover this and cook this because the tomatoes need to really break down. Yeah, the tomatoes are whole, they're not cooked, they're raw. So we want them to sort of really cook down. And again, if you have chopped the tomatoes into small pieces, you're not going to have this problem. It'll take less time to cook. If you've got canned tomatoes, it'll also take less time to cook. But yeah, I was lazy. I apologize. So yeah, I'm bringing this up to the boil now, and then I'll turn the heat down. I'm getting the lid for this now. And you can also do this recipe in like a Dutch oven kind of dish. So now I just cover it and let it cook. And while that's happening, I bring you guys over to me. Hello folks, good to see you all again. Alright, so now that's just gonna cook for about 10 to 12 minutes. That's the thing with live cooking. I should have probably gone for a stir-fry dish. I would have gotten over much quicker. But this gives us some time to chat because I'm sure a couple of you are here who are not cooking. By the way, do smash that like button on this video for the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate it. So, I don't know if can you guys hear all that construction noise? It's really noisy here in my neck of the woods. Oof. I feel like I should turn on the air conditioning now, which I'm going to do because it is really freaking hot. Sorry, you don't have to see the close-up of my face. There we go. Oh man. Yeah, there's like buildings being constructed all around where I live. It's just non-stop bang, 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 even on Sundays. It's crazy. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes before the thing needs to be checked in on. Yeah, thankfully it doesn't sound as bad. Why dill? So dill is okay. So first of all, I actually don't normally eat and buy dill. I bought it because I was doing a smoked salmon recipe, which is going to show up on the channel soon. So I bought the dill for that, for fish. But in India, we do eat dill like a vegetable. So there are many curries where dill is used. So in my house, my cook in my old house, they used to make a potato and dill stir fry dish, with spices like cumin, coriander, turmeric. It's actually, we call it sabzi in India, so that's one way they use dill. Also, when you make saag, now I know most people know saag as only paneer, but there are also versions of saag where there are mustard greens, fenugreek leaves, dill, coriander, spinach, all mixed together. So all leafy green vegetables. I believe even in Middle Eastern cooking, there's a dish called gourmet sabzi, which is actually a lamb curry made with mixed greens, and dill is one of those greens. So this is my first time making a dill curry, and it's mainly because I have so much dill at home and I don't want it to spoil. I mean, there's only so much smoked salmon with cream cheese I can eat that uses dill. So yeah, that's kind of why I went and decided to do a dill curry. All right, now is a good time for me to. What did I do with my coffee? Here it is. So if anyone has any questions, I'd love to answer them. Maybe I can scroll back. Have you ever used stewed tomatoes that are drained instead of fresh if you don't have any? No, it's not something we get in India. That's why I've never really used that. No spices before the onion. No, because the thing is the spices will burn, right? Like, you want to put the spices once the onion is browned. Now, if you're not browning the onions, if you're not planning to brown the onions, then you can add the powdered spices earlier. Also, I think now that I read it, I think you meant whole spices. So yes, normally in Indian cooking, cloves, bay leaf, cardamoms all go in when you fry the onions, or just before the onions actually. Cinnamon sticks. But I kept this curry very simple because I know not everybody has all the ingredients lying at home, and I wanted to make this an easy curry. So that's why I decided to keep it very simple. So I decided whole spices most people will not have at home unless you are an Indian. Um, am I from the north? My husband is from AP in the south. Also, your husband is from Andhra Pradesh. So I am a Sindhi. Now, technically, where I come from is now part of Pakistan. But because my family moved out, I think before the partition or during the part, in fact, before, I think they just moved to Mumbai, and we've been here ever since. So I've never actually gone to my homeland or whatever. And I can't even go because of all the tensions between the countries. Right. Since you had a cook in your parents' house, did you ever cook growing up or not until you were grown? That's a very interesting question. So, I am a very fussy eater. So, yes, we did have a cook. My mother used to cook, but I had an interest in cooking since a very young age. So, I actually started cooking when I was 11 or 10 or 11 years old. And by the time I was 12, I think I wanted to be a chef as well. So I always cooked most of my own food at some point. In fact, also I did not like Indian food. So I would often make my own food. And we had a live-in maid till I was maybe 12 or 13. And then we would have a cook who would basically just come and make the lunch for my mom and my dad. And the cooks, so we've gone through obviously multiple cooks over the years. um, I always found the food too spicy or not to my palate, so I would always just prefer to make my own food and eat it. Do you have a preference for a type of onion? So in India, again, the onion variety is there, but largely what we get are the red onions. That is our staple onion. You get these smaller red onions called sambar onions, which are a pain to deal. But our regular onion is the red onion. So that's what I use in pretty much everything. So I don't get that big white onion that most of the Western world has. We get smaller white onions, but those are like a gourmet product or a specialty product. So not quite the same. Is garam masala a mixture of spices? Yes, actually it is. So garam masala is a combination of spices that are ground together. So there are people who make their own garam masala, but most people just buy store bought because it's easier. Okay, now back to our tomatoes. I don't know if it's been 10 minutes or not, but let's get back to it. Alright, look at that, guys. That has bubbled away nicely. Look, yep, tomatoes are getting soft. Let's get a spoon out. Yeah, you can see it's slowly breaking down. So I'm just gonna help it along the way by mashing it a little bit. You know, just help the process out a bit. Smash this. And this sort of idea I got from making chicken karahi. I don't know if you guys have seen my recipe for chicken karahi, but it's a Pakistani street food dish, and this is basically what they do. They put quarters in of the onions like this, cook it low and slow, and yeah, then the onions break down. And then you can just smash it, and then if you want to remove the skin, see. I don't know if you can see it, but like the onion skin, sorry, not onion, the tomato skin, yeah. See here. Then you can just take the tomato skin out of the curry. I'm just going to leave it in because I'm lazy. I'll remove it when I'm eating. So I think this is cooked down a decent amount now. Like the acidity of the tomatoes would have sort of, changed a little bit. So at this point, I'm going to add in my chicken now. If you're cooking fish or something that takes no time to cook, I would say cook this out a little more, but now I want the chicken flavor in my dish. So in goes my chicken. I give that a good mix. I can bring the heat back up now because the temperature of the pan has dropped, because the chicken is not hot obviously. So now just let this cook. So again, turn the heat down to medium, cover it, and now let it cook for maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes. And you can come and say hello to me again. Right. So, is anyone planning to make this dish with a different protein? I have obviously, like I said, used chicken thighs that are skinless, boneless. If you make this, what meat are you going to use? What meat would you like to use? Time to warm up the coffee. I'll do about 25 seconds. Yeah, so yes, you will be able to watch the replay of this live stream. Don't worry about it. And if you guys really want, I'll make a separate video doing the exact same recipe. So with chicken breasts, basically you will cook the curry, make it as tasty as you like. So basically what you would do is, where I covered it and continued cooking, if you're using chicken breast, you want to, what you want to do is you want to taste the curry. If you're happy with the taste of the curry, then put the chicken in the curry. So once you're happy with the mixture of onion, tomato, dill, everything, only then do you add the chicken in. The chicken breast will take all of 5 to 7 minutes to cook, depending on how thick you have cut them. So 5 to 7 minutes, you don't need to cover it again. Just stir in the chicken breast and cook it. 5 minutes, 7 minutes, you'll be done. And then you will come to the final step like I am, once this is done, which will be to add the heavy cream. Lamb now, okay, so the lamb that you get outside India is very different. If you are buying lamb, please try and ask your butcher, is it a slow cooking cut or is it a quick cooking cut? Normally, if it's a quick cooking lamb cut, it will go in exactly where the chicken thighs have gone in. But if it is a slow braising lamb cut, you can add more water along with the lamb and braise it for 1 or 2 hours in this dish. No problem. You can do that. It'll really just break down and intensify and become really good. Same with beef. You can add your beef in here. If it's a stewing cut that's going to take 1 or 2 hours, put in more water and then just cover it and cook. Now, if you're using goat or mutton, I would then suggest doing this in the pressure cooker. So everything I did right now, do it in the pressure cooker. Then you add your water. So where I added the chicken, you add your mutton, you add some water. You can also do it with lamb and beef, put it in the pressure cooker. Add about half a liter of water more maybe, or maybe 250 ml, 300 ml more. Cover it, pressure cook for, I think lamb will take you 20 minutes at least, 20 to 25, maybe 30 minutes. Again, depending on which cut of lamb, goat, whatever you've got. And once it's done pressure cooking, you open it up and you finish it just like I'm going to do that. So it's actually pretty easy. The other alternative that you can do is, you can pre-cook your lamb or your goat or your beef with water. So you pressure cook or boil the lamb or the goat or the beef with water and salt. Take out the lamb pieces, they will go in just now where I put the chicken thighs, and you use the stock instead of water in the cooking, like where I used water. That's it. So those are the ways to kind of do that. I love a good cup of coffee, yeah. Are you guys more tea drinkers or coffee drinkers? By the way, I don't know how many of you get my notifications on YouTube anymore, but just so you know, I've been regularly uploading 2 recipes every week. So in case you've missed out, do check them. I've also been going live and doing a live stream every month This. Are we still hanging out after the stream tonight, bro? What stream tonight? I'm going for a concert tonight. It is currently 10:48 a.m. in the morning in Mumbai city. All right, let's get back and check on the chicken. I think it's important to check in on the chicken. I have no idea how much time is flying by, but I'm just going by intuition. All right, let's give you a look at the. Let's get back to the. There it is. All right, let's open that up. You guys can see it properly? Yeah, I think you can. So as you can see, the sunlight is coming into the dish. So now this chicken is pretty much cooked because it's cut into small pieces, and you can see you've got a lovely curry here. Yeah. So I'm gonna taste this curry now. Ow! That is very tasty. That is a really tasty curry. Wow. That is so good. So now this is a bit too liquid for me. I would like this to reduce a little bit more, just a touch. So I'm going to turn up the heat now and just let that boil out. And the only thing I have to do after this is add the heavy cream or the fresh cream. In India we call it fresh cream. Yeah, so I'm just letting this, and I'm not covering it obviously because I want the liquid to evaporate. Now, if you like the taste of this, I know this is not a common Indian practice, but you can use a bit of corn flour or thickening flour or a little bit of xanthan gum if you're on keto, and that just kind of, like, also you could even, before adding the chicken, puree everything and put it back into the pan if you want a less rustic, more fine dining kind of curry. So again, I'm also, like you can see, I'm squashing the tomatoes so that they meld with the sauce, and that tomato also thickens up the sauce a little bit. Okay, now let's talk about this. So I'm using Delecta dairy cream. This is, if you see, it's 25% milk fat. Okay, so why, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit because I'm not paying attention. So I use cream because I prefer the taste of cream. Also, so cream, using cream and dairy at the end of curries is a very North Indian thing. And this, I'm kind of going more for that North Indian kind of vibe. Coconut cream or coconut milk is more of a South Indian thing. It's generally how they kind of, you can actually, like, that's one of the differentiating factors, because obviously I guess palm trees don't grow in the north part of India, and it's a lot colder in the northern part of India, so there is more rich food, more heavy, creamy, buttery foods there, so yeah, I think that's one of the sort of differences there. And again, it's not that you can't use coconut, you can use coconut milk in this, absolutely. It'll just taste more like a South Indian dish than a North Indian dish, and that's absolutely fine. So just like, so it's the same thing with butter chicken, right? Like if you see butter chicken, saag paneer, all these North Indian dishes, they use a lot of a cream at the end. So you can always substitute it with coconut milk, but it's not going to taste like the authentic dish then. And if you look at the Southern Indian cuisine, like the stew, the chicken stew or the mutton stew, that's a coconut milk base. Fish moili, which I recently made on the channel, that's also, coconut based. So yeah, those are some of the differentiating factors that, I mean, this is very surface level stuff, but yeah. So definitely you can use coconut cream in this. You can also put no cream. You can turn the stove off now and your curry is ready. If you're maybe looking at a lower calorie curry, like if you don't want to add calories to it, chicken breast, no cream. This is delicious. Yeah, it's delicious, it's gorgeous, it's a perfect lunch with a little bit of rice or a roti. Absolutely fine. I'm just being indulgent. You know me. Yeah, but like the hallmark sort of. Yes, you can also use fresh turmeric, no problem. The thing is, this is a very flexible recipe. More than telling you you have to use XYZ in the dish, this is play around with it. It's a very basic, generic sort of thing here that you can follow along with. If you don't have certain ingredients, you can swap them out. So, oh, this is actually looking really nice now. So my last trip was to Turkey, and I did a lot of videos and pictures, but they're all on my other account, Headbanger Eats. I don't enjoy doing the full blown vlog like I did for my Maldives trip. I'm not actually, I don't think I'm a blogger, it's not in my DNA. Like, I feel very uncomfortable holding the camera and kind of walking around with it filming myself. I know it sounds strange, but I actually feel weird doing that in public. Yes, absolutely. You can make them with cream, or sorry, without the cream or without the dairy, no problem. So I use ghee in the start of this recipe. You can totally skip the ghee and use coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil even, it's not a problem. Butter, oh well, sorry, you're dairy free, butter is not allowed. But you get what I'm saying, right? So now the other reason with using chicken thighs is when there's too much liquid like I have now and I want to reduce it. Chicken thighs, when you cook them longer, it's not so bad. It's not going to overcook terribly. But if this was chicken breast, I would remove the chicken and then reduce the sauce, because the chicken breast overcooks very quickly. Now, if this was a seafood dish, if I was using fish or something, I would add the fish now. Right at the end, 2 to 3 minutes for fish and it's done. So, yeah. I'll see if there's any questions. Thank you, calendar page. Yeah, those were my weight loss vlogs. And they're still on the channel, but I genuinely feel a little uncomfortable doing them. Should dal always be made with lentils? So dal is basically lentils. So it's like saying, can you make lentils without lentils? Or should lentils always be made with lentils? So yeah, dal and lentils is one and the same thing. It's like chai and tea. So when Americans or people in Europe say chai tea, it's like saying tea tea, which is a totally different thing. I got some tea teas. Shall we get back to the chicken? You guys ready to finish the chicken? Let's do this handheld now. Yeah, give you a little bit of a different vibe. So you can see I have a problem shooting videos sometimes because the sunlight is burning out this thing. Anyway, time to put in the cream, coconut milk, whatever you want. That's plenty of cream. It's more than I should have used, but it's okay. And remember guys, this does not look like the cream in America. I know that this is 25% fat. This is actually less fat than yours, but it's just whoops. The coffee is turning off. Anyway, so like I was saying, this cream is basically, so the reason it's so thick is I don't know if you can read this. It's UHF sterilized. That's what makes it so thick. So yeah, anyway, now turn the heat to low, give it a good mix. Now again, if you've got the American heavy cream, you can just keep it on the stove for a few minutes extra. Look at that, guys. How gorgeous does that look? I hope you can see the colors because the sunlight is burning everything out. Now this is good enough and it's technically ready. Let's see if you get that. This is our dill curry. Now, obviously, if you have not used dill like me, you can throw in coriander right now, or cilantro as you call it. Yeah, and then that's the end of the dish. You can again cook the cream out. Remember, taste your food, taste the sauce. If it feels like it needs to be cooked a little longer, cook it a little longer. And yeah, that's your beautiful chicken curry. And that's perfectly cooked chicken. And now you can throw some fresh dill on it. I'm going to turn the heat off. So I've got some fresh dill here still, but yeah, I'll keep it for smoked salmon. But yeah, it doesn't really need any extra dill now. I think all the dill is inside. So I will eat this with rice or with roti. I think I have some in my freezer. Let me open my freezer. My freezer's a mess. I think we got some chapatis here. Yeah, so I'll probably eat it with this maybe later. I won't eat it now. But yeah, there's our curry. Lovely. Let me see if I can move it a bit. I don't want to hurt myself. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's the curry. Nice. Okay. Now you can properly see the curry. Yeah, so you can totally eat this with cauliflower rice if you're keto. You can use my keto naan recipe. Thank you, Perry Lynn. That's awesome. Can I say I impressed myself? I'm quite happy with this. Okay, we're back to my face now. So obviously, I have to taste the curry. But it's quite hot, it's piping hot. And you know what? Oh, it's smoking. Don't be afraid to eat curry with a spoon. You know, when I was on keto, I didn't have to eat curry with something. I got used to eating curry with a spoon. So the thing I like about this now, it's kind of like a all-in-one meal, right? You got your greens in there, and again you can throw in like spinach, you can throw in green bell peppers, you can pretty much throw in anything. Like throw in all your vegetables into this and just like make it a one pot meal, you know. And look, you're not entering some curry competition. As long as you can feed your family and you enjoy the taste of it, like throw in mushrooms, throw in broccoli, throw in carrots, peas, cucumber. No, don't throw in cucumber. But like you know what I'm saying, right? Like throw in your vegetables and you're good. And also don't forget to throw a like button my way. Throw a like my way on the video, please. Smash that like button for the curry. Yeah, I will definitely eat this with rice, I think actually. So because it's still kind of, it's not a thick curry, so you can still reduce this down. If you want to eat it with a naan or a roti, you can reduce the liquid down and make it slightly more thick, you know. Oh no. Oh man. Oh, hello. Won't you take me down to Flavor Town? All right, that's good. That's good. I'd say so. Okay, I'll give myself critical feedback. Definitely, if you want a sort of, I'd say if you're not afraid of spices, you can be a little more heavy-handed with the spices that I used. Definitely. If you prefer a milder curry like I do, You can be conservative like I was. I think I might need to add a touch more salt because all the salt in my house has different levels of saltiness. So I have one fine table salt which is like super salty. Then I've got a pink Himalayan salt which is hardly salty. Then I've got the salt that I used in this which is moderately salty. And now I've got like some other sea salt here. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of salt in, I think. Little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of salt in. And sometimes that's all a dish needs, a pinch of salt. Just to sort of, there's that level of saltiness, right? And the good thing with the curry is like you can season it at the end as well. Dill is going to confuse the newbies, should have left it out. You know what? That's okay. I think the newbies can ask me questions and I will answer them as I always have. And you know what? Maybe the newbies will just follow me and buy dill because now that the actual live cooking is over, everybody's watching the replay, so they'll probably just buy the dill and make the dill curry, I think. Oops. And I had actually written dill right in the start of the live stream. Cool, so I guess that is my lunch today. This curry. I will probably make some rice because if I show you again, like this is loose enough, I would say, to eat with rice. Yeah, this is a rice curry for me. Now if I put this on the stove and reduce this down and make it almost dry, then that's a naan or a roti curry, at least for me. So I think in India, that's how we kind of decide whether you eat something with a roti or with rice, is by seeing how thick the gravy is. At least that's what I do. Like I see a lot of people eating saag wala paneer with rice, and like we normally eat it with naan. Alright, so what kind of flavor does... It's like almost like a minty flavor, I would say. You know? Like, that's the minty, aniseedy flavor. That's the closest I can say to dill. Can you make a British style curry? What really is a British style curry? Most of the time, the British curries, at least as far as I understand, they make it the same way. It's just that the onions and the tomatoes and the cilantro in the UK taste totally different. You know, it's the ingredients in the region make such a big difference to the way a dish tastes. Like if you take this exact same recipe and you're making it in the UK, it will taste like a UK curry. I guarantee you that, because the turmeric in the UK tastes different. The red chili powder tastes different. The coriander, cumin, there is some subtle differences in some of them. But yeah, like I think that makes a big difference. Especially the tomatoes and the onions and the garlic also. Like in India, the garlic it tastes totally different from the British garlic. And not necessarily in a bad way or anything, but it is different. It's very interesting. But I could do so there are some curries that are quintessentially British. Like I think the jungle curry is not an Indian dish. There is no dish in India called jungle curry. Jungle curry is a British curry dish. There's some other ones also. I can't remember the names now. Balti. Yeah, I think Balti curry is also a British dish. Yes. I don't think there's an Indian curry called Balti curry. Balti curry, jungle curry. Vindaloo is Indian. It's Goa, Portuguese influence. Jalfrezi, I think, is Indian. I've done jalfrezi anyway. Jalfrezi, I've done paneer jalfrezi, and I've done chicken jalfrezi as well. Do you have a lamb shank curry recipe? I have a beef shank recipe which can also be used with lamb shank. So yeah, I think my next curry recipe, whenever I do it, is going to be a Rogan Josh. Not a Joe Rogan Josh, but a lamb Rogan Josh. Padabish. That's the plan. Whew. Well, folks, I hope that you have enjoyed this cook along session. If you did, please make sure after the live stream is over, you leave a comment and let me know. If it is something you like, something that interests you, we can do these again. I'd also love to know what time actually suits you to cook along, because my audience is from all over the world. So maybe you could tell me, like, is afternoon, evening, morning, what is the best time for you to follow a live cook along like today? Just out of curiosity. And I think on that note, I'm going to go now. It is 11 a.m. When will you do the Rogan Josh? Probably in December sometime. I have a huge list of recipes that are pending. Venkat Pizza Wars is coming to Headbanger Eats in December, I think. It'll not be a 9 episode format like Burger Wars, but it will be a fun episode for sure. The reason I chose this time, just for your information, was simply because the lighting is good. Because it's morning time, so the light is good. Because in the dark, my kitchen looks pretty sad. Looks a bit serial killer like. But you know what? Maybe next week I will do the live stream, the cooking live stream, in the night. We'll see how it does. Has your dad done any work in America? He's not specifically done any work in America, but maybe his movies have been released there, like where he's had a small role, because a lot of Bollywood movies are shown in the States. And also maybe some commercial, but I doubt the commercials have been shown. He's been on TV shows which could be on different platforms. He's done movies, so he could be in those as well. What do you have going on music wise? So I just released an instrumental version of my album, The Last Reptilian Warrior, which is out now on Spotify, Bandcamp, Apple Music, Tidal, etc. Look for Demon Stealer. That's my name. And I have a new album coming out next year, in Feb or March or something like that. So been busy making music as well. Alright, on that note, I'm going to bid you all farewell. Thank you once again for being here on this live stream. I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to go take some photos of that curry now, and I will see you guys later. Have a great Sunday, or if you're going to bed now, then have a good night and have a great Sunday when you wake up tomorrow. And I will see you either on Tuesday or on Wednesday with a brand new recipe video right here on Headbangers Kitchen. Thank you for all the love and support. Cheers and keep cooking.